All right, welcome to the Puzzle Pieces podcast. And tonight we're going to be talking about focus, focusing on one thing and the importance thereof. The reason why you want to focus on one thing is because we all have a lot going on. There's social media, there's all types of distractions that's just present right now, more than ever, right? There used to be a time where you used to be able to just fall off the grid and there was typically not too many consequences. Whereas now we have these cell phones and you can't even really, drop off the grid like that because you need your cell phone just to log into your accounts. So you're gonna have to get real creative nowadays with blocking out the noise and getting focused. In our earlier episodes, we talked about setting intentions and setting goals. Once you have the goal, meaning you have the target now. Once you have the target, now you're ready to proceed with the work, the work that comes behind it. But you're not going to know what the work is until you know what the goal is. Once you get the goal, now you develop the scope of work. Once you got the scope of work, you're ready to go to work. Once you get to work, now it's done. And once it's done, here's where the real test comes now. Now you have to face self-destructive habits. Now you have to face how do you keep the money, which is the biggest lesson. I think we're all kind of getting to this at the same time where we're learning that, hey, you know, uh, getting the money might not be too hard anymore. Now it's how do I keep the money? How do I invest the money? But those are lessons for the future. What we want to talk about is for those who need help trying to get organized and figure out what can we do to get focused. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. But remember that quote Tyler Perry said, the importance of focusing on one thing. His one thing at the time, I believe, were plays. He said if he could just put on one play, he knew everything else would fall in line. And of course, you get to see that after you've done the one thing or become successful at the one thing, then you get to go into all these other projects. When the rappers come out, they came with an album, this in my day, right? They came with an album, and then it's, they got a clothing line and then a liquor line and so on and so forth. But their one thing at the particular time was music. And it might have just been being an artist. They weren't trying to be an artist, producer, an executive all at the same time. When they first started, all they had was themselves and their words. So they began with, I'm just going to be an artist. And then, of course, they delve into those other things. So for those of us who are having trouble getting started at success or getting what we want from our lives, you need to understand that, hey, I need to focus on one thing. That one thing for some of us, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, when you don't want it, would be the job. You know, you might need to focus on being a better employee. And by being a better employee, we're talking about where it brings more benefits. If it's not going to bring more benefit to you, then don't even do it. But if it's going to bring you, let's just say, more income, if you need to go in there and change your tax exemptions, or whatever it is you need to do to make the job work for you, that's what we need to do. We all know about the personal finance when it comes to paying off debt, yada, yada, yada. We'll get into those things as well. But what we're talking about is the strategy in getting what we want. We'll get into the specifics sometime in the future. But right now, the strategy behind getting what you want is to focus on one thing. Now, of course, people that know you're going to say, and these are just the inside voices that are going to say, oh, well, he's a jack of all trades. Oh, there's nothing he don't know how to do. Oh, he can do everything. No, it's not that you know how to do everything. These are people that's typically already mastered themselves, which is the real goal here. The goals, that's cool. Material things, that's cool. But we're all seeking to really just master ourselves. Do you really know yourself? You understand? That's what you need to kind of get focused on. Really, God should be number one. But after that, yourself, you need to focus on. That should be one thing. Are you healthy spiritually, physically, and mentally? And if not, you're gonna have to cultivate those three before you gain any type of leverage in this world. Why? Because if you have not mastered yourself, then your habits, your vices, those things are gonna keep controlling you. And the only way you're gonna gain control is to gain control. That's it. Now, first thing, and I'll spend lightly on this. We were talking about reducing clutter in some of our previous podcasts. Some of our your homes and your cars and whatever your domiciles may be are not clean and decluttered. Once you get decluttered, you can start to see, or you'll start to find out where your tools are. Tools may be whether it's your credit, whether it's cash, whether it's an old account, whether it's some notebooks that was empty, so you don't have to go buy any new ones. Whatever the resources may be, you need to reduce the clutter so you can find it. Uh, Clutter can be physical, it can be mental, it can also be emotional, it can even be spiritual. Some of us need a good spiritual cleansing, me, myself included. You need to clear your mind. You're going to have to find those clearing mind activities. I like to swim. Uh, you might need to, maybe it's the children in your family. You need to go see them or take them out somewhere. Maybe it's a friend you haven't talked to in a while, whatever the case may be. Now, this one is very important. Disconnecting to reconnect. Okay, I write a lot of notes, so give me a second. Disconnecting to reconnect. Sometimes your focus requires cutting off the cell phone periodically. Now, again, this is very hard to do because of the world that we live in. So, what you're going to have to do is cut your phone off during your focus periods. You need to just cut it off. If there's something important you need to do, like log into an account. Now, what I like to do is, because everybody, I really tried to keep this word away from this microphone, and that was lock in. I just don't like it, but it's fine. It is what it is. I like to call it the underground. Let's write that down. The underground. This is your period of self improvement. This is your period of refilling yourself. This is your period of reconnecting with God, reconnecting with yourself. This is your period to pour back in to what's been depleted. You are going to need to disconnect for a little while. Now, if cutting off the phone is too extreme for you, I used to like to do it for 6 months at a time. And what you'll find, you also need to, let's put this down. Find our rhythm. And finding your rhythm means, when do you work best? Is the best time you work at night? Is it in the morning? Do you get sluggish around 3 p.m.? What time do you work best? And you'll start to develop and learn your focus times during the day, but also during the year. Let's just say wintertime. Okay, well, most animals are in hibernation, right? So you typically, it's cold outside. Depending on where you live, it's cold outside. You're inside. That's a good time to do this. In the summer, you're ready to move around, and it might be vice versa. In the summer, you might want to stay in, and in the winter, you might want to go out. However it is, find your season, find your rhythm, and then you'll be able to develop again the strategy behind getting what you want. But you're not going to know that as long as, as soon as your friend call, you're going to hang out. As soon as your friend call, it's time to go play the game. As soon as your friend call or the girl call, they just say, it's a woman in your life. She doesn't have anything going on, and you're already wrong. But anyways, it's not just for the men, it's for the women too. You got your bum man where, he pressing up your front seat. You know what I mean? Let me see. Can I still be seen on this thing? Yeah, no, not yet, not yet, not yet. Yeah, he pressing up your front seat. You know what I mean? It's 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 where he smoked weed all day. He played a game all day. He's unemployed. You already wrong. If you're talking about getting somewhere, you can't have someone like that in your circle. Now, unfortunately, some people come in your life, you develop a love for them, and they get a little hard to just cut off, right? So what you have to do then is you're gonna have to learn to, as someone like to teach me, put up boundaries. You're going to start to have to feed with a long-handed spoon. You're not going to be able to just be there for them at every beckon and call. You shouldn't do that for anyone, anyways. You should be the only one. I know growing up, a lot of us get to talk to be selfless and very serving, and it has its place. I'm leaning towards a new method, and that's, hey, everybody else is being selfish. Now, does that mean I should be selfish? Well, we have a very big conundrum we'd have to go through with that. I don't know if I'm ready to introduce that yet or not, but what I've learned is people do what's best for them. And because they do what's best for them, you have to do what's best for you. Is it going to make you seem like a mean person at first? Is it going to make you feel differently than you normally would? Yeah, it is. And if you're going to feel compromised, then don't do it. Keep on serving and see if you could find a way to get what it is you want without compromising it. Um, For some of us, you might need to do it in partiality. You might not need to compromise 100%. Yet compromise in partiality, meaning, all right, homeboy called me today and asked me, oh, you know, I need help putting this wood on my truck. I can't help you today. But then the next time they call, hey, I got a flat tire, you might be able to help them that day. So that's what I mean by partiality. You don't just have to go cold and cut them off if you just can't live without them for whatever strange reason, right? The older you get, the longer they stick around. Let's make that clear as well. When you're younger, you're a little bit more vicious, so you're able to just bloop, cut somebody off. How many of your friends do you know from high school? Most of us, zero, zero, or maybe just one. So, but as you get older, that time frame gets a bit shorter, and how fast or how vicious you could just cut someone off, move on with your life, and there'd be no problem. And this is all about what we're talking about: focus, focus. Uh, and that's what we were talking about: cutting off unserving relationships. Now, let me go back to a story when I was in California. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to develop myself a new friend circle, a new friend group. And that's exactly what I did. And I noticed, we like to go out to the club a lot at the time. And, every time we get to go to the club, it's this one particular guy in the group. He needs the cover charge. And of course, he's at your pockets, at his friends' pockets, and everybody else in the group. And instantly, in my mind at the time, I'm like, oh, I got to stay away from him. Can you just say no? Of course, but then, I mean, the people that, unfortunately, they're just not going to want to be a friend anymore. And that's okay. That's okay. But you don't have to be, again, you don't have to compromise yourself. I just ain't fooling with them, you know? Moving on, we were talking about uh, cutting off these unserving relationships. Everybody around you is either helping you focus or helping you drift. Some people aren't bad people, but they are bad for the season that you're in. This is a bunch of stuff you have to keep up with. The bottom line on this is, hey, if they're not good for you, they're just not good for you. Meaning, like this, let's just say every time you get around this person, and let's just say they smoke weed and you don't, right? It's just an example. And that's not me saying, we're not even talking about right or wrong here. We're just talking about what it is you're trying to achieve. If what you're trying to achieve doesn't have room for this particular thing, then that's when you got to go. You understand? Okay. But yeah, we were using the weed example. And every time you come around, they're offering you some weed. You need to ask yourself why. Why, And maybe that's just the that's just the culture that you all have. Moving forward. Uh let's go to let's go to okay, here's a real important one. So when we're setting our goals, we talked about putting a date on it, putting an end on it. And this date is often reached, for the power of the subconscious mind. I mean, we're not getting too heavy into that. It's just whatever you prayed for and started putting in the work to move towards to get, uh, more than likely it is going to happen by the date. More than likely, if not all the time, I can tell you from personal experience, the answer was always there. The answer was always given. But whether you did the work or not to do the thing, or had the faith or not to actually act on what it was you believed in, is completely up to you. But however, life goes on. So in our mantra where we say, okay, adapt and overcome. Well, when the date comes, yeah, be mad at yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you now, hold yourself accountable. Be mad, be furious, but direct that anger into, okay, well, next time I'm not gonna miss it. Next time I'm gonna make sure I do X, Y, Z. See, if you allow yourself to escape it and say, oh, it's okay. All right, look, me and my friend, we used to play pool, and he would say, I would miss a shot, and I'm like, no, 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 it's okay, it's okay. He's like, no, Keto, it's not okay. And it'd be funny, but the truth is, no, it's not. You failed. And because you failed, hey, I must be punished. That's how I believed in learning, and that's how I grew up learning. I know a lot of people want to change that now, but guess what? You got punished anyway because you didn't make the goal. If it was a believable and achievable goal and you missed it, and you know why you missed it, I might not know, but you know. And because you missed it, okay, well, what's going to be your punishment? What are you going to do to make sure that you don't make that mistake again? So let me tell you something, the hot stove always works. I bet you never touch the hot stove again after that. So let's just keep that in mind, that, oh, we're not going to absolve ourselves of all guilt for missing what we were supposed to get, whatever that might have been. Hold yourself responsible, because guess what? Everybody else, they're gonna do it for you. Excuse me, they're not gonna do it for you, meaning that they're not gonna hold you accountable and say, they're gonna say the same thing you trying to tell yourself. Oh, it's okay, you missed it. You'll get it next time. No, 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 no. See, that's the attitude they have most of us stuck or spinning our heels right now. We want to tell ourselves it's okay, and it's not okay. You're drowning and you want to tell yourself, I'm okay, and you're not okay. Now, to tell yourself you're okay to stay alive, that's fine. But telling yourself you're not okay to move forward, that's what you need. Now that I know, okay, I'm still alive, I'm okay because I'm still alive. Well, but I'm not okay because I'm still in this situation where I could possibly die. And we already know that means any type of way. Let's get back to what we were going. How distractions show up. Distractions sometimes show up as people needing your attention at the wrong time. Sometimes they show up as drama. Sometimes they show up as relationships, guilt, temptation. These are the things where let's just take guilt and temptation. If you hold yourself accountable and say, okay, I messed up, I'm gonna get it next time, you need to write down what went wrong and understand that with this guilt, well, you don't need to sit here up under your covers for no 6 weeks. Go ahead, take your little. I used to like to call them pity parties. I'm gonna go have me a pity party. I'm gonna go out of town. I'm gonna get me a massage. I might do something I don't have no business doing, whatever that might have been at the time, right? You know, uh, 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 yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I'm gonna do those two or three things and get it over with. Get your little weekend in, sob, cry, do whatever you have to do, and then you need to get back on it come Monday morning or come Sunday night. However that's gonna go for you. However your seasons work, however your power hour works. Sometimes the distractions show up as somebody else's lifestyle, pulling you into consequences that were never meant to you. I had a situation here recently where when you know people and you know, okay, they're gonna watch a podcast and they might see your video and be like, oh my God, he's talking about me. And it's like, how do I do this? You want to tell people the truth, you want to tell people what's going on, but how do I do it and keep respect with my friends? Well, the bottom line is this. Some of you are working on changing your life, and some of your friends are still living in mistake land. Do we all make mistakes? Of course, of course. But when I say they're living in mistake land, meaning this is rookie stuff. This is stuff you did when you were 20 years old. They're still doing it. And what happens is they start to pull you into the mess, and they start to put, certain pressures on you because of the relationship, because of the relationship. And what that does, it'll stifle you. So let me give you an example of how that could go. Let's just say one of your friends is, I don't know, they're drunk, they're in trouble, and they get pulled over. Well, you've been drinking too. Should you go get them? No, of course you shouldn't. But for those of us that have a heart, you just might do so. Well, guess what? Now that situation that you just put yourself in, let's just say you get stopped and then you get arrested, right? I'm gonna tell you now, they're not gonna be apologetic for it. It's gonna be all your fault because they're gonna say, well, you could have just said no. So instantly, you already know this is on you, right? And what's gonna happen is now let's just say that deal you was working on for the next week. Now is it gonna work out? Because you in jail. Now, thankfully, for those of us who pray, it may not happen to you. You might get away with it, but you still take in the lesson to yourself and say, you know what? I have to treat this relationship differently from now on moving forward. Now we all just don't have a goal and we all decide just to, live our lives freely and mess up, then so be it. So be it. You have to protect your opportunity at all costs. Some of us have some life changing situations going on, and the devil has come to steal, kill, and destroy. That's just the bottom line. I know a lot of us have, erased the devil out of the story, and they're trying to erase God out of the story as well. But the bottom line is this: you got to protect your opportunity because guess what? We all know that. Okay, it's let's just say we've been chilling all day long, right? Oh no, drop my mic. Oh God, help me. Y'all hold on, because I'm live. Okay. So let's just say you've been chilling. See what I'm saying? Did you see that happen? You see how that went? Right. When you about to go somewhere, that's when it's coming. That's when he's coming swiftly like a thief in the night. That's when he's coming. Anyways, let's just say you've been chilling all day doing absolutely nothing, just being the most unproductive, right? And nobody's called you. There's no whining girl on the other end of the phone. There's no friend with a situation. There's the car is working just fine. Everything's cool. Let you decide to go to work. Now it's different when you got a job. Job, we ain't even talking about that. We talking about the entrepreneurs now. We talking about the ones who trying to get it on their own, right? Let you decide to try and get into that focus on if you want to. The phone gonna start going off. That's why I already told you to do what? Cut it off. Cut it off. They gonna come from left and right. Matter of fact, he gets so creative, he'll come to your door through a neighbor with a situation, something you didn't have nothing to do with. So that's why that's why it's important to learn how to focus. Uh we have we have well, I tell you what, we don't do rambling on this show. So let's go to this. Um Don't be ashamed of who you are. Matter of fact, I'm going to end this one and we're going to do a second one. That way you can eat this in tidbits. So check out the second part of the stream.